Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're just having a round robin here. We've got Stuart G5STU, we've got Jonathan M0JSX, James M0GCQ, myself. Now, I watched the interesting program with W1 DED. That's it, W1 DED. He was interviewing a few kind of old timers. The guy who actually orchestrates CQ Worldwide, CQWPX. And I was quite interested. The ARRL had looked at the problem of, what happens if people live stream their frequency? Oh, just let them do it, Self-spotting is allowed. Make it easy. Right, where do we start here, boys? Let's start with a 48-hour contest. I've only done a couple of them, but I put a team of 5 people together, and we genuinely did 48 hours. I think it was 6 hours on, 4 hours off. 6 hours on, 4 hours off.
Did you wear a nappy, Cal? I've had rumours of people weering nappies in these contests.
No, we had a bucket. We had a voice key and a bucket. So a big contest a couple of times a year, maybe. I find them interesting because it stretches your equipment, your organisation skill. It stretches everything, all right? Because let's face it, as soon as you get 2 guys, Stuart and Callum going, I'll race you to the end, but you've got a contest. I mean, after all, periodically we do the mega stream, don't we? That's kind of a contest, really. But anyway, I quite like, certainly once or twice in my life, to do a 48-hour job, although if I'm on the other end of it, in other words, I go, I'll just see what's on the radio. Whoa, my goodness, it's completely full up. I kind of go, maybe I should go fishing today, or go on 60 metres, or 17 or something.
And that's the problem, isn't it? If you look at the contest calendar, it's pretty much every weekend, isn't it? And it can get very annoying. I mean, looking at this from the perspective of people that work a full-time job, they want to get on the radio and go out portable at the weekend or something, and you turn the radio on and you've just got a wall of noise. You just will pack up and go home. I know you've got the WARC bands, but let's be honest, those bands, you're only going to get certain propagation, if any at all. And it's. So, I'm not against contesting. I think it's great, like you say, for improving your station. But I think there's maybe too many. At least one weekend free a month would be nice.
I think the problem with that, though, is that, or the counter to that, is that most contests are mode specific. So, think of CQ Worldwide. There is the SSB leg, there is the CW leg, and there is then the RITI leg. And it's only in those weekends where that portion of the band is going to be absolutely chock-a-block. But if you're a CW operator, well, the CW end of the band is going to be absolutely clear for you to use for your normal DX working during the SSB weekend, and vice versa. If you're big SSB op and it's a CW weekend, well, that's not going to bother you. So I think that yes, okay, there is a contest most weekends. It's not a 48-hour contest most weekends. Most of the time it's a few hours or maybe 24 hours. And even then it's normally mode specific. So, it's not taking up the entirety of the HF spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Do you know the really looking at it from a non-contester, the really annoying contests are the regional ones where they don't even want to work anybody else. I mean, there was one on the other night. I think it was a Polish contest, and he was literally calling for just Polish people. Now, when you've got the whole of 40 meters, say that's your favourite band, and all you can hear is people shouting for other certain contacts, you can't even get involved. So you're basically. I don't think that's right. I think all contests should be open for anybody to participate, at least.
I think it's fine for a contest to have a geographic focus, but not at the expense of actually excluding working some people. It might be that you get 3 points for working the actual, country that you want to work. If it's the Polish contest, you get, 3 points working Poland, but maybe 1 point for working anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, my question would be, can you kind of break it down so you have a kind of voluntary sort of, perhaps imposed by the organisers, non-contest section of the band? So contest activity, for example, on 20 metres up to 14.3, and then they say, right, anything above 14.3, we're keeping that free non-contest.
I think that's already the case, isn't it?
Yeah, some contests do that. I don't think all do, but some certainly do, and they won't count any QSOs that have been made in the non-contest part of the band.
So, I mean, that seems like a fair, sort of fairly down the middle road. I'd say I'm fairly on the middle with it. I can see the appeal of contesting. We were talking about 48-hour contests. You know, you get your club down there, get the tents out, go camping for a couple of days. I can see the appeal of that, but I can also see the other side where it gets annoying for other people. Now, I've done one or two contests, not really my sort of thing, to be honest. I'll go out, give a few points away here and there, but I get it. I can see the appeal, but I tend to try and steer away from it.
I think there's the hardcore. I'm not really big into contesting. I don't know who organises these contests, who's involved or what's involved. And I'm assuming there's a hardcore of contesters out there that have been doing it for donkey's years, and that's their life. That is ham radio to them, contesting. It's like the POTA and SOTA people, James. You know, for you, every time you go on the radio, it's to activate a hill or a park or something. It's never just radio. And I think the contesters sounds to me like a lot of them, you know, contesting is ham radio for them. I don't come from that world, so for me, you know, live streaming or just calling CQ as ham radio. I don't need an excuse to go on the radio.
59IO81.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
You came in late, and you're going to give my edit a right bloody problem now because I won't be able to sync up. I told you I gave you a 27-minute warning, and you turn up late. Anyway.
Hang on. Sorry about that, headmaster.
Not that he's complaining.
Not that I'm complaining. I just have to kind of work it out when I do the edit.
I can drop out and you can say all of that shit again if you want.
Your mic's a bit close to your mouth, Mike, I think.
So I see... So I've got to edit all this fucking bollocks out now. Right, well, I used to be... I would sail my little cadet boat, you know, around the bay, and it was always a race, right? It was always racing. Okay, raced Wednesday nights and Saturdays, and you know, most of the bay was full of racing boats, right? Of course, then there's the pleasure boats as well, getting in your way and everything else, and there was this, you know, friction between the two, and it very much reminds me of the contesters versus non-contesters. Now,
so cyclists, cyclists in the countryside.
But I do remember one. I mean, he must have had an amplifier. It was what Stuart was saying a minute ago, which was, you know, you enjoy your 40 meters during the day, and the problem with the huge contests, and I'm talking about mostly CQ Worldwide and CQ WPX, where you've got the multi stations on, so you will have an operator who's told you'll sit on 40 meters, you know, day or night. So he's calling CQ, and there'll be, in Europe, for instance, there'll be 20, 30, 40, 50 stations on a multi, and they've just got a call all day long, clogging up the band on 40 meters. So, okay, just to sum up so far, we've had, are there too many contests? Now, the thing is, there is no national body that governs how many contests. If Stuart and Callum decide we're going to put a contest on this weekend, we can. That's it. All right? We can just do it. Like we do a mega stream. Like we're doing Saturday on April the 20th at 1 o'clock. We're going to put a thing on, right, and clog up FM. And if somebody just wants to play on FM, they'll find it's full up of people like us.
But that's how people to talk to.
Yeah, at least there'll be somebody to talk to, yeah. And then we discuss
make it easy because we're challenging people to contact 10 people on 10 meters FM. So if there's lots of people there, it'll make it easy.
It will. And then we said, okay, you know, because there's the old argument, you've got the WARC bands, okay? But, you know, it's difficult. And then you've got the worst problem where, you know, only CQ Poland or only CQ Contest Spain or whatever else. So the band's chock-a-block. But my opinion of this is, and you are actually on Saturdays more than I am, Stuart, is that most times I can actually find a gap, unless it is CQ Worldwide or CQ WPX in the main.
If you're about if you're a powerful station and you turn your amp up, now we've got a kilowatt in the UK, that obviously helps. Then yes, most weekends when there's a smaller contest on, you can carve yourself out space on 40 meters, just to the local skip across Europe or whatever. But if you're an M7 and you're running, your genuine power levels and you're out activating with a fairly inefficient antenna, you've got no hope. I often hear, M7's calling or activating something, and they just get swamped on, And that's the new blood. That's the fresh people we're supposedly trying to encourage into the hobby. They've taken the first step. They've got their M7, and then the contesters come along, stamp all over them.
Yeah. I can't count the number of times I've seen that happen to SOTA activators. Bearing in mind, SOTA activators, you're normally in a good location, but you're normally, because you're portable, you've got to carry it up a mountain. You're normally only running 10 watts, sometimes 20 watts max. So sometimes as low as 5 watts. So a number of times I've seen someone who's been going for 15, 20 minutes on a clear frequency, and then they've just been completely wiped out. It does happen. So it's more difficult for the portable guys, I think, when you handle the power.
Some contest etiquette could be introduced, where you've got all of the. I know, let's have a good giggle over that one. Where you could have the M7s or the beginners, if you want, whatever you want to call it, at the lower end of the band, in the first, 20, 30 kilohertz or something, and then you've got the competition main bulk in the middle, and then you've got a little bit at the top that people that don't want to play competition, for the general chat. That would be really nice if that could be sort of like.
I'm sorry, I'm coming back to how big a bloody problem is this really, right?
Well, it isn't.
Come on, no, I think it is a big problem.
In reality, it's not.
All right. Put your case behind it then. I mean, is it every weekend? Is it every day?
Pretty much. I wouldn't say it's every weekend, but over the last few weeks, it seems to have been every weekend. I mean, sometimes you get to the point where you don't even bother turning on the radio. Unless you're going to unless you're in contest mood and you want to get involved, you don't even switch it on. You look at the contest calendar. You see there's a contest on, so you make other plans for the weekend, that aren't involving the radio, because sometimes it's really annoying. You get psyched up to play radio, you get set up in your shack, you turn it on, and then it's just a complete waste of time. So if there's a contest on, you think, sod it, I'm going to go and do something else. But it probably, like you say, it might not be as bad as you probably could carve yourself out a little spot, but
it's hard work. Yeah, okay. Now, I mean. I can't remember what it was. It must have been 10 years ago or so. The UK are we region 2, I think? Region 1, region 2?
Region 1.
Region 1. We went from 7 to 7.1, didn't we? 7.1. We stopped. We got another 100 kilohertz now. And then the USA can go up to 7.3. But if you don't mind me saying, if we had a little bit more bandwidth given by the International Telecommunications Union, surely they could move those shortwave stations on Europe from 7.2 up to 7.3 plus, and then there would be plenty of space then. Or do we encourage the contest organisers to say, okay, look, tell you what, you go and play your contest, but from 7.1 to 7.2 or plus. I'm thinking 40 metres now, because it's 20. It's only twice a year when 20 metres is rammed. And 10, actually.
That would do it, wouldn't it?
But it works on 2 metres and on 70 centimetres, on 23 centimetres. They use the lower end of the band for...
yeah, but they don't. They just say that's SSB. Whether it's a contest or not is beside the point. It's SSB. And that's the convention. So they can clog it up completely.
But 2 meters and 77, are much wider than we've got on HF bands.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And there's nobody using it.
that as well.
Put an area up there.
Now, apparently, down in VK land, the 30-meter band is one of the countries down there. You're allowed SSB, 30 meters. Why doesn't the International Telecommunications Union look, because it's secondary basis at the moment, 30 metres, isn't it? That would solve some of the problems and keep the walk bands contest free.
It would be nice, but given the fact that a lot of countries haven't ratified and made legal all the recommendations around 60 metres, I think that might be a tall order, to be honest.
Yeah, but 60 metres is channelized. All right, it's not like a block. At least 30 metres, there is some block. It
is. However, the Ofcom haven't
even, for us. It's not in Norway, is it? They can do whatever they like.
They've got a block, and that's the thing, is that the ITU have made the recommendation that there should be a block on 60 metres, but lots of countries, and us included, haven't put that into our haven't ratified it. So it's exactly the same problem with the States. They have channelized as well, and only some of the channels overlap with what we've got here. Mm-hmm. But I think that any major changes regarding spectrum at an international level is going to be, getting that filtered down to actually the national regulators doing it is a different matter. Interesting your point, although on 40 metres and giving region 1 7.2 to 7.3 is I don't actually see the need to move the shortwave stations, to be honest with you. Yeah. We shared 7.1, 7.2 long enough with shortwave stations, and it's only in the last sort of 10 years that we've been given primary user status. Just give us secondary user between 7.2 and 7.3.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I mean, let's face it. If a contest organiser just said, look, you can do 7.1 to 7.2, you can have a free reign, and then I think we can do, there's the FT8 brigade that is new in the last 10 years. Because from 7.042 to 7.1 was normally SSB, then FT8 came along at 7.078 or something and clogged that up. But I mean, there is that space, and there's the space below FT8 and above CW. So like at 7.05, have you gone down there?
Very rare do you see an SSB signal down there. I mean,
I've been down there.
I do in the quite often.
Oh, okay.
You do, James.
When I'm out portable, I do tend to drop in just below the FT8. It's usually clearer than going further up the band.
I know.
I'm usually either at the very top of the band or the very bottom, just above the CW.
Yeah, like at 7.05-ish.
It's a bit above that. I can't remember where the cutoff is. They say there's the lowest SSB frequency on the band, don't they? I think it's about 0.56, something like that. I can't remember. I normally stick above sort of 0.58, 0.60-ish and above.
All right. You see, the thing is, for competitive people who want to stress their equipment, and it's back to the sailors going around the bay, in their little dinghies. And for people who really want to stress that out, a contest is an ideal way of stressing your gears, stressing your antennas, working out how well your station is really operating. And then you've got people like Tim Duffy, K3LR and Whiskey 3 Lima, Papa Lima and KC1XX, who have dumped, millions of dollars into their station so they can, compete at the top, the Ferraris, Red Bulls, McLarens, if you like.
I mean, before I started contesting, I used contest as the way of grabbing DX stations that I would otherwise not work, and DX entities that I would otherwise not work.
Never work, yeah.
And there are a number of Caribbean islands, for instance, that I've got confirmed on Logbook of the World only because I worked them in a contest.
Yeah.
So if that's not a reason enough to see the benefit of contest,
but is that cheating, Jonathan? If you can't work them under normal conditions, does it really count?
There's still RF involved. It's still the propagation's still got to be there.
Yeah, it's like the IOTA contests. I mean, there's some islands that come on the air with rudimentary kit that are very rarely on the air. Apart from I mean, they're not like the top 100 most wanted or whatever, but there are IOTA stations. Little islands in Scotland and all sorts of things. Not necessarily super high power mega stations or anything, but it's just fun to work them, isn't it? Stuart said a couple of interesting things earlier on. This business of where you can only work a country, CQ contest, and you call them, you go, well, you're not bloody Poland. It's like, oh, you're only after Polish stations. Right. So you're clogging the whole band up for the Polish people. Or the Spanish, King of Spain, that's anybody, I seem to remember. Or is it?
I think it is anybody, but you get extra points if you work Spain.
Yeah. So they tend to call for certain they're calling for a certain operator, aren't they? So you're basically telling everyone else to sod off, even though they could work them if they wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, so let's say you could redesign. Let's say we had the UK Creators Contest for whatever reason, and there was a bunch of rules. You can work anybody can work anybody, but there is special plaque for working all 20 UK Creator stations. Multiplied by the number of DX entities, multiplied by issue size, or whatever.
I would say no multipliers. I would say the rule. Well, because then you have to have good operation on multiple bands, don't you, to even come into contention for winning? Whereas if we've run some...
No, because you have categories. Yeah, you can have a single category band, you can have low power stations, you can have like 20 categories, I've just got a piece of wire.
I think when you break it down by categories, it waters it down, doesn't it? I think it should be everybody has equal, pretty much, chance of winning the big trophy. There's one winner, there's one category, everyone's involved.
Well, in which case it's the one with the biggest amplifier. Yeah. Because everybody cheats. It's not going to work.
Stuart, what you're saying there, though, is you're basically saying, like, at the Olympics, there should just be one medal. And there shouldn't be subcategories. You think about the athletics.
You've got 100
Olympics.
Metres, 200 metres, 400 metres, 800 metres, 1500 metres.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they're different contests,
there should just be one.
The marathon. It's all running.
There's some big aerials anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, you like the idea of anybody. But the trouble is the biggest station will win. So you go, okay, big stations, high power, beams, all that. You've got your own category. You do the full 9 yards, and that's the most prestige. It just is.
Yeah, but then you've got a benchmark, don't you? If you think about it like this, right, you've got one winners list, that's it, one leaderboard for everybody. And wherever you come that year on that leaderboard, the next time round you think, right, okay, last time I came 80th, whatever, that's about right for my station. Next year you try and beat it, don't you? But you're all in the same game, and there is a crazy chance that you could get up into the high numbers if propagation's in your favour and you've
turn the power up.
But then you also think then you start to realise that actually you stand a better chance of winning a category by going low power on a single band.
That's what I did, and then I really enjoyed it because I'm only competing with 10% of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole thing about power, it's nonsense, isn't it? Because nobody sticks to the power, do they? Especially in a contest. They're even more encouraged to turn the power up.
There's some serious... The QRP, you can tell the QRP, and then they really have, because they've got low-ish scores, and they've done really well on their QRP. Yeah. So I'll have to find there's a 12-hour category here for people that are fat, So I'll enter that one,
I think you've just said the reason why there are so many different competitions. You can only have so many weekends, 52 competitions. That's not that many when you can think of all the different categories and all the different...
Why does it have to be on the weekends?
There's weekends.
Why does it have to be weekends?
The RSGB, 80s, yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We've already discussed we should have one... Actually, no, there's got to be 5 or there's got to be 20 because there's just so much variety. You just can't do one competition.
Yeah, and the other thing is that some teams they really enjoy the challenge of a multi-2 or a multi-multi. So we're not going to be able to stop contests because, just like we put the Megastream on, that's a tiny baby contest that lasted an hour, but only needs a bit of success, and all of a sudden these things grow out of control. I think what we should do is boycott the country only. Now, the trouble is, the RSGB has a contest where everybody's got to contact the UK. We've got our own. Is it CQ Great Britain or something?
There is.
Is it a 15 and 10 metre contest or something?
It's UKEI, isn't it? It's UK and the Republic of Ireland, but I can't remember what the exact... Oh, there it is. The UKEI DX contest.
Yeah, so we're clogging up the whole band, and if you're in France, you want to speak to your mate. Good point.
Is it a 48-hour job? Is it stick your fingers up to everyone else on the ham radio for the whole weekend?
There's only 2 48-hour contests.
No,
There's
is.
also the Welsh and British farmers competition, which is the EIEIO.
I was about to say, are they comparing marrows or something?
Well, you can get a large hand if you've got a good marrow.
Callum clearly needed a beer after that one. That was.
I think actually Callum's probably run out in disgust with that one, to be honest. But there you go.
I've got to say that one of the reasons I pushed my station in the early days was because of contesting. All right, had I not done contesting, I wouldn't have been the person I am now. It sharpened my operator skills and everything. It was contesting. That's what I enjoyed. I was a really busy guy during the week, and at the weekend I'd look at the contest calendar and it's the whatever it is. And if there was a little afternoon thing on 40 media, it's even better.
I think the irony is we proclaim that contests are the way to get people into the hobby, and I do agree it's a great way to cut your teeth. You'd have to have a conversation with people. You're just calling CQ59 whatever next, and you don't have to think about it. And a lot of people that are mic shy, it's really good. For them. But the problem is you get these people into the hobby and then the next weekend they want to go out and use the radio and they can't because there's a contest going on. So basically it's a case of, we want you in the hobby, but only if you're a contester. That seems to be the vibe that I get from it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we want, and I'll put a list of the contests, let's say, coming up on the screen now on the next 6 weeks. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. I don't honestly think, because the thing is, even if it's just one weekend in 4, you put your radio on, you could be putting your radio on the wrong day. Go, oh, bloody hell, it's full up again. That's all weekend. There's only 2 contests I know of that last the whole weekend, which is WPX and Worldwide.
What about the live scoring? If we're talking about it making contests better, if they even need to be better. I mean, if we were going to create our own contests, obviously we've done the mega stream stuff, as you've said, and we sort of had live scores and stuff for that, or semi-live. But there's no reason. I mean, but we're all online and we're that way inclined anyway. But a lot of people, they don't even have a computer in the shack, which is fair enough, or they've gone portable or whatever for the contest, so they can't do live scoring. But I think if we're looking to encourage people to take part in the hobby, dare I say, the gamification side of things. I know that's not a popular word in some corners, but I think live scoring is a must. I mean, contests are a game. Okay. Let's be honest. You get scores. That kind of says it all.
When I did the multi-2 back in 2013 or something, live scores existed. And I'm just firing up N1MM now on my remote machine because I think I'm pretty sure there's a checkbox where you can just post your score to live scores.
There's 3030scores.com, I think it is.
No. This was a genuine live scoreboard, all the categories and everything else. Can you imagine if you could qualify to stream your contest to a contest organizer, and you would have, just like Formula One, right? You could watch a stream where you've got half a dozen really good guys going, oh, Whiskey 3, Lima Papa Lima, he's just got to run into Japan on 15 metres. Let's see how he's doing. That's another multiplier. So he's now 4 points ahead again. I mean, it would be really good fun, I think.
Yeah, it'd be good entertainment for people that, if you really want to make ham radio look
just
great for people outside of the hobby.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think with regards to live scoring, I think it should be encouraged. I don't think it's going to be practical for absolutely everybody for reason. If you've gone out portable and that kind of thing, you haven't got internet connection, which is possible, or not certainly a reliable one, then I don't think it should be a mandatory thing. However, what annoys me, particularly with WPX and with CQ Worldwide, among others, is the sheer wait between submitting your log and the results being published. And I think that's what the organisers have got to address, is shortening that time.
I think they've done a really good job, actually.
There's this 30-30 scores
over the last couple of years. Yeah, but that's a posting board. That's not a.
It doesn't look amazing, to be honest. I mean, as a web developer, I don't want to slag off another web developer.
It's an old. Yeah, that's an old-fashioned thing. So yeah, N1MM still got real-time score reporting.
I think, from my own personal point of view, that I wouldn't like live scoring. I think it would.
You could uncheck that.
Dishearten me. Should I be right down that leaderboard? I think to myself, what's the point?
Yeah, but then you compete with the people around you, don't you?
A bit like Station Master, isn't it? It's just like you're on it. It's like, oh, Mike's on. I'll go and find him. It's unless you're trying to compete.
You just compete with the people around you, don't you? You know, the person above you, you think, right, I'm after them next, and that spurs you on, and then the next one, and then the next one. And we, like I say, in the club that I'm involved with, we've actually done our own contests, using my Station Master system for scoring real time FTA contests. Right. They're absolutely amazing. Live scores, and every contact you make, the scoreboard updates, and it really does. They're well attended. They're absolutely amazing. It works because of the club and everyone gets involved and they're all online. But obviously on a grand scale.
So you can see the benefit of the fun of it. That's good to hear.
Well, a while ago, Jonathan and I had a bit of a laugh, didn't we, with Stu's Station Master? We were trying to get top score for FT8. I think it was 100 contacts in one afternoon or something like that.
Okay.
Came in just behind. So sort of unofficial competition between ourselves.
And that is the thing, with, not to blow smoke up Stu's bottom, but Station Master in that regard is really fun because it does encourage you. You go, I'm 13th on the board for data today. I'll see if I can get into the top 10. And then you get a nice email at midnight that tells you where you came. So it is really competitive in that regard.
It's a contest every day.
It is a contest every day. But just going back to the sort of the results of the contest being published that I was speaking about just now, I think the RSGB do a pretty good job with this. Particularly with things like the UK activity contest, for instance, because you post your login, you've got to post your login. I think they get about 3 days to put your login.
Oh, I know, that's right. Yeah.
And then you get the sort of claimed scores or the unconfirmed scores pretty instantaneously within a few days of that. And then it might be a couple of weeks later you actually get the ratified scores. So I think that's what more contests have got to embrace, is that being able to give people the information to say, we haven't checked everything yet, but here's what it looks like currently. And then, even if it is a couple of months down the line where they're actually posting the full final result, just so there's that still, while it's still fresh in the memory and it's still, you're excited about the fact that you took part in the contest, you can say, oh, well, looking at the claim scores, I came 12th or whatever it is.
Yeah. I must admit, in the old days, it was about CQ Worldwide results used to come out about a couple of weeks before CQWPX,
Yeah, but I think that even now with the sort of impatience that we have now as a society, we want everything now, if not yesterday. I think the wait is still a bit too long.
I'd agree. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the contest coming up this weekend. For instance, there's a big RITI contest on. But, so that's this weekend.
Quite often they will, obviously we're in UTC zone here, but quite often they'll start at midday on a Saturday for us and end on midday on the Sunday. I don't mind that because you've got all morning to play radio up until about lunchtime on the Saturday. And then the contests go on for 24 hours, and then you've got Sunday afternoon as well. But obviously that works for us being in this time zone. Other people, it would be different.
Yeah. Yeah, but, mostly the whole of Europe, plus or minus an hour. But there's only two big contests which ram the bands. It's the end of October and the end of March for SSB. Or it's like the PAC contest, there's a couple of contests that are coming up, but they won't be that rammed because there's just like that Polish thing. The band won't be full up of Poles.
How many
always
people
find a gap? Although
I wonder if you did a survey, and I'm not trying to knock contests here. This is pure interest, and I wonder if you surveyed people, how many people are involved in the contest purely because it's on, and it's either that or you don't go on the radio, or they're just on there handing out 001 to everybody, and then they never even submit their logs, and it's kind of like, okay, the bands are kind of taken over by the contest, so it's either get involved or don't play radio. And I know you're saying it's not every weekend, but sometimes it does feel like it.
CQ Worldwide and WPX have something like 70,000 unique calls in the logs, but there's only about 7,000 entrants.
Yeah.
I mean, because the big complainers aren't on the blooming radio. They're the ones who just want to listen, and they don't want to listen to contesters. James had a good point earlier on. You get the keen guy who wants to go up a mountain with his 10 watts. I get that as well. And he can't. But that's only twice a blooming year.
But he still can, though. In those big contests, he still can go up a mountain and still can activate his SOTA summit. Because, James, obviously, you've got to have 4 contacts for a SOTA to be, for it to class as activated. Yeah. But it doesn't say that those contacts can't come from contestations. So even if you go up your mountain and you activate the SOTA, and all you do is answer CQ calls from contestations, it doesn't matter. You've still activated the summit. Okay, you haven't had the opportunity to call CQ SOTA, but at the end of the day, if all you're caring about is making the QSOs for the activation.
I think my point was more about you held the frequency for 15, 20 minutes and you just get barged aside by...
Well, that's happened to me on 80 metres. I was a high power station and the old fogies club, some matron woman come on and they just... And on my frequency, hello, John, are you there? And in fact, I used that when I did my 160 metre net thing. That was hilarious. That happened to me. If there's someone already on the frequency, bit of a technique to get rid of them. So they're on the frequency and you just butt in. You go, hello, is the frequency in use? And the guy will go, yeah, frequency's in use. Just checking the frequency's clear. And the guy going, yeah, no, the frequency's in use. Okay, nothing heard. The frequency's in use. Yeah, on frequency, who's here for the Second World War net? The frequency's in use. Then your mate will come in. Oh, hi, John, how you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, just waiting for Jack. The frequency's in use. Yeah, thank you. The frequency's in use, you say. No, the frequency was in use. No, the frequency was in use. That happened to me. I'm going, the frequency's in use. Yes, we know they're going.
Imagine if you go to... I'm just imagining James spending 3 hours hiking to the top of a hill. He calls CQ and within 5 seconds he's worked 100 contesters and then he's on his way back down again.
Usually in the rain, I usually get back to the car looking like a drowned rat, if you've seen any of my videos.
Yeah, we have, yeah. Or the kite's broken. It really honed my skill and how to have a sensible argument with the guy who's right next to you, things like that. Right? Because the best one was when the skip changes slightly and you can hear the Russian and the German both really loud, but they can't hear each other for some reason. Then gradually they both realise that they're on the same frequency, and you got this. I just remember listening to this fantastic argument with the German, and I don't know what it was. I think it was a Russian guy. I've been here for 6 hours. So have I. And
I've heard that.
It's how to amicably solve your differences. And that was hard. I mean, Lee G0MTN taught me hang on longer than he hangs on, and they'll move. And I've done that a couple of times.
I've suddenly realised that I am definitely a casual operator in that respect. I don't really mind if I do a competition. I don't really mind if I don't do a competition. I think I'm just sort of laid back. If competitions don't really bother me, if I want to join in, I'll join in, and if I don't, I'll find a little gap somewhere on the band, and I'll talk to Fred down the road. I'll do that Friday night thing. I think there's room for all of us, to be honest.
I had this written down on my notes, actually. I don't want to antagonise the contesters again. This isn't an attack. It's purely just a, thought experiment. If there was never another contest on ever again, would you miss them? And my answer to that is definitely not.
Really? I'd miss them totally.
I think it'd be tragic.
Yeah,
because
they'd bring the bands alive, in my opinion.
if it wasn't for the contest, there'd be nobody on the bloody band half the time.
Yeah, I agree.
I did see somebody making that argument on the QRZ, actually, on the forum on QRZ. Somebody made that point, actually, that the contests, they keep the bands active and they stop the politicians selling off the frequency. So yeah, I get that. There is that.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? I use competitions to test the equipment more than I do for the competition, which is strange, maybe. But that's the original reason for competitions, wasn't it?
Well, so Mike, I think before, because you were late, right?
Oh, I'm always.
we were just saying
that because I'm owed.
Just like Jonathan and James, they had a little private conversation the other day on FT8 with using Station Master as who was doing, more. And before you know, that's all you need. Then you need a third person joining and go, oh, well, let's do that on a Saturday. And then the fourth person. And before you know it, it's 10, 100, 1,000.
There you go.
It doesn't there's a bit of magic somewhere. All of a sudden, everybody wants to do it. Mm. So when we put our mega station on and stream, everybody wants, I don't know, how many unique call signs were there joined in on that, Stuart? A couple of hundred?
Yeah, a good few hundred, wasn't it, on the last one, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was done as a bit of fun.
Yeah. You only need that to go up by a factor of 10, and all of a sudden you've got 2,000. And they're running bloody mega streamers. The bloody UK streamers are using up all the,
I kind of feel for me, I think the bottom line is contesting is an aspect of the hobby, same as FT8, same as CW. Now, CW isn't much interest to me, but I wouldn't want to discourage it. So I don't think we necessarily should discourage contesting. It's just a way of how do you all coexist with each other, I think, is the way I kind of see it.
Yeah. And I'm just saying the contest organizer should start to look at, for the 40-metre European lot, do 7.1 to 7.2. I mean, that's twice as much as they had 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I would actually like to see that. I'd like to see the ITU going... I tell you what, Region 1 can do 7.2 to 7.3 on the basis that they might be interfered with. Why not? I like that idea, actually, Jonathan. I'd like 100 kilohertz of SSB on 30 metres because I think that band would be insane. And maybe if they just, the ITU and whoever need to get together to sort out 60 metres, that might be nice as well.
I mean, I know 18, a lot of people say 18 megs is a nice substitute for 20 metres. So there's one option, but there's not really any option as an alternative for 40, is there?
Well,
you can go down to 60, but as we just said, 60 is a bit of a mess.
That's
and
right.
you need
go to 80.
Go on there.
Yeah. And you can go to 80, but you got to remember 6 years out of 10 or whatever, during the day, 80 could be a bit of a problem.
See, this particular thing is, if you're the organizer of CQ Worldwide, and I'm not picking on them for any reason, they're one weekend, aren't they? Or they're a couple of weekends for different modes. So from their bubble, they're thinking, okay, well, this is just one weekend. I'm sure people can put up with, even the non-contesters and stuff, they can put up with it for one weekend. But then the other contester, they're thinking the same thing. And then another 50-odd contest organisers are all thinking the same thing. And before you know it, the whole year's clogged up. And it's no one person's fault, if indeed it is a problem. It's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? So we're not.
I've got to stress, there might be a lot of 48-hour contests, but where the trouble is, it's the multi contests. Because if the band's open, everybody's on 20, 15 and 10. They're not on 40 during the day, but the multi ones are. So it's only the big contests really that clog up 40 metres for 48 hours. And then there's some specific 40-metre contests. That's the only thing. But that will be normally for 6 hours or something. Normally.
So I think contests are great. When you're in the contest, it's absolutely great fun, isn't it? It really is. When you've decided I'm in this contest, I'm going to have a proper serious go at it. I'm going to spend, 3 hours on the Saturday, 3 hours on the Sunday. That'll probably be it, and then do some other stuff. And you do get really involved in it, and it's super great fun. I must admit. But then if I've decided I'm not in the contest, then immediately you turn into you go into contest hating mode, don't you? There's no middle ground. It's either one end or the other.
No, there's not. Oh no. But if you think about it, we'll wrap this up in a minute. But if you think about it, if you go back to your categories again, imagine if there was a live scoreboard and you could just, with some drop downs, you go, well, I'm a UK only. There we are. 1,000 watt, high power, and I'm a one antenna, and I'm 12 hours only. There's a few drop downs, and you realise that there's 6 of you. That's all there'll be. There'll be 6 of you in it. In that category, so, I'm only competing with 6 guys. You can email them, and they can see each other. It might be a chat thing. You bugger, you've got Senegal. I've been trying to get him all morning because I've had that. Where I can hear the guy and he can't hear me. I would like I'd like to use the internet more on a contest to communicate more with my fellow competitors. Like I could shout at the next boat. Get out of the way, we're coming around the buoy,
Yeah,
I've got an idea. Sorry, I really have. I've got an idea.
Okay.
If we get Region 1 and get them to push the clock back 48 hours. bear with me, right? 48 hours, Regional 1. Region 2 stays where it is. And I don't know if there's a Region 3, but we could make one. And they could go forward 48 hours from our time. So there we'd have our weekend, which is a Saturday and Sunday. Right?
In the middle of the week.
And the Region 1 weekend would be Monday, Tuesday, which would be their Saturday and Sunday. And then we could have a spare day in the middle. And then on Thursday and Friday would be another region's weekend. And that way, all the weekends would be through the week and we wouldn't have any of this rubbish.
But that means there were a contest where you only care about working your own region.
Oh, no. You get it wrong, Jonathan. You would use the DeLorean coil.
Right. I've got one.
Yeah. DeLorean coil with a delay, right? That's for the Region 1.
That'll make good content, Mike. Thank you.
With your flux capacitor.
How much am I going to edit out?
About 5 minutes there. That was...
Yeah, okay.
That's all you need to
be. Right, so, Stuart, have I changed any part of your head at all on your thinking?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, But
you were anti-category. You were anti-category to start with. How do you feel about it now?
Yeah, and I do get that. My thing against categories is that when you first look at a contest rules and all the categories and stuff, and if you're new to the hobby and you're just getting into it, it's like, oh my God, it's just information overload. The whole multipliers and formulas for calculating this score, you don't even begin trying to understand that if you're new to the hobby. You don't even understand what 40 meters is, 7 megs. You haven't even figured that out yet, and you're expected to learn all these formulas to calculate your scores, But then you add in categories, right. That's a whole nother layer of complexity. I don't know. I like the idea of everybody's on the same list. You're all in the same category effectively. And yes, if you're only running 10 watts, then obviously you're not going to come up in the top 100. You're going to be 500 or something. But that's a fair score for what the station that you've put on. I think it's keep it simple.
Do you tell the contest organizer that you were on 10 watts and a simple dipole?
So I don't believe the whole power thing. I think this is another thing as well. I mean, the reality is people say they can say they're running whatever power they're supposed to be running. They're going to turn up the dial, especially if you're in a competition. There's no way to check this sort of stuff. So therefore, don't even bother having categories based around power. There's just no point whatsoever, because you're always going to get somebody that's going to cheat. And I know it's not all about power. People are going to, they're going to shout in the comments, "Oh, it's your antenna." And yeah, I get it. I get all that. I understand all that. It's not all about power, but it definitely helps, doesn't it?
I think if somebody says, "I'm doing 100 watts," and they do 1500, and that's their bloody problem. Not nobody else's. Because they know there's no money involved. It's only kudos, remember.
And that's the other thing is that I think that up until, quite recently with certainly the UK station, UK getting a kilowatt, I think it's been the open secret that every UK... let me rephrase that because I don't want to say the word every, but a lot, the vast majority of UK contests, big gun UK contest stations have been running more than 400 watts. However, it's kind of been that big open secret. Everyone knows that, that's what happens. But now that we have got a kilowatt, and it puts us closer to what? No, but I don't think that is necessary, because
nothing will change.
Nothing will change. I think those stations that were running more than 400 watts were probably running about a kilowatt anyway.
Yeah.
So now they're just legal. Now they can actually say they're running a kilowatt.
That's right.
And I think that those stations that were running, more than a kilowatt, maybe 4 or 5 kilowatts, they're going to continue doing that. But they're not just going to say they're running a kilowatt. Nothing is actually going to change in terms of how people conduct themselves in contests. All that is going to change is, potentially what people are saying they're running.
Nothing's going to change. I'm with Stuart. I think some people will cheat, some people won't. And I don't care about that. But I still want to know if I genuinely am 10 watts and I've got 10 other guys in my country who are also doing 10 watts, 12 hours or whatever else. I just want to know who the 15, 20 guys are. And it would be fun when we're running to see how well we're doing. That's all. But, all to our own.
Or some will
just
say,
like when I was...
I'm just thinking of the comments.
When I was running around
the comments. Sorry, Carl. We're doubling.
God, sorry. Yeah, we're doubling. Yeah, just like when I was running around the bay in my 10-foot, little boat. I wasn't competing with the £500,000, 20-meter thing running spinnakers and everything. I'm a different category. There we go. Categories exist. Categories exist in cars, Le Mans, anything. Most things have a category, and I like categories because I want to go. I came first for the most pathetic station in Britain. All right, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Last words on contesting. You're a secret contestant. You never knew it. Is that what you think?
Basically.
Okay.
My last words are quite simplistic, really. Just enjoy the radio. Just enjoy the competition and enjoy using it.
Yeah. I mean, it buggers up if you want to stream and there's a bloody great contest on. But if I'm not streaming and I'm just mucking around, I'll find somewhere else to go. James.
There's always a gap.
Always a gap, yeah. James.
I think, like I said earlier, it's an aspect of the hobby. We definitely shouldn't discourage it. It's just live and let live. We just have to coexist. Same as CW I'm not mad on. Some people would say POTA is taking over the bands. People complain about there being so much POTA activity on the band. It's just how do we coexist with each other, I think.
Jonathan.
I think that if you are a contester, be mindful that there may be people who aren't necessarily interested in the contest that's going on. But conversely, if you're not a contester, realise that if it's one of the big contests that only happens twice a year, you've got plenty of other opportunities to play with your radio. And I think to the contest organisers, I think there needs to be a little bit of rule modernisation with regards to things like live streaming and, encouraging live scoring, because I think that's going to foster more activity when it comes to contesting.
Which Stuart was mentioning. Any last words, Stuart? You've normally got something to say.
Yeah, I mean, let's end on a positive note. I mean, we talk about us and them. Well, James, you were sort of saying us and them and coexisting. I don't think that's the right language. I think we already coexist. It's just a case of how can it be a little bit more harmony there and not stomp all on top of each other. I've got nothing against contesters. I don't like the fact that when I'm not contesting, I'm effectively not able to get on the radio. But then I also understand it's not every weekend. It's not necessarily a 48-hour contest every weekend when there is a contest on, and it's not happening most weekdays. The bands are free and pretty dead, let's be honest, because I think a lot of people that, younger people in the hobby are obviously at work, but the evenings are generally free. So there is a positive side on that regard, that they are only weekends if you see them as a problem. And I mean, I'm all for it, and I think it's great for people to hone their skills when they first come into the hobby. I do think there could be a little bit of improvement on the etiquette and operator skills from some contesters. But let's be honest, it's a fight, isn't it? Once you've got that headset on and you start calling CQ, you're going to fight to the end of the world to fight for that few kilohertz that you've got.
Yeah, I know. Okay, well, what would I say? I'd say I'd like the ITU just to have a look at 30 metres, expanding 40 as well. I'd like contest organisers just to consider the anti-contesters, so to give them at least to say, hey, we gave you a cap and you're still not using it, all right? Maybe. And I'd like some new tech. I'd really like some live scoring, and I heard Stuart saying that he's looked at the contest rules and it's like, oh, where the hell do I start here? So if there's you could do your contest rules and then do click here for the basic rules instead of the massive rules, if and for newbies, because then it would be nice and simple. You could have a little single page just explaining. You're given 5927 highlights, or 59 number 1 and number 2, number 3, and things like that. So that's communication. That's all it is. It's communication, I think. Etiquette, well, 160 meter nets etiquette. Doesn't matter what you're in, how long you've been in this hobby, you'll always come across, and we've all bumped into them on our live streams, even when we're not contesting. Some of the, you spend half an hour trying to get a call sign, and then he goes, "What's yours?" Oh, for God's sake, didn't you listen? And then he can't hear my call sign because now I've got QSB. So, but we'll always have people who aren't as skilled as we'd like them to be. But I definitely say that contesting honed my skills, honed the way I use my radio, the way I talk, the way I run a pile-up, and that sort of thing these days. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up now. Thanks very much for watching. From James M0GQC. I always want to say CQG, whatever. Jonathan M0JSX. Stuart G5STU.
Thanks for having me.
And Mike M0MSN. May the force be with you. And I'll put a list of all these people's channels below. We don't expect you to look at them, but if you do, they are there. So don't complain. May the force be with you. And thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.